Good everyone. I hope you guys have an amazing day. So what I'm going to do today, right? Until now, I spoke about the process map and the language of process map, but that's great. But obviously, I believe that you might need to have a tool, right, to build the process map. I mean, we're not in 1980 or 1970 where you started to you write stuff on a piece of paper, or you draw stuff on a piece of paper and store it somewhere, and share it with the people. We are not in this era, right? I mean, fortunately, we are in an age of technological advancement in 2023 where things can be shared online, right? So obviously, if you are someone who's looking to do the process diagrams, you might be after a software which can help you because depending upon the kind of stuff you're after, right? That's the first thing. Because to me, uh, when you are after a certain kind of a software, right, you need to define the certain things that software should be capable of doing. For instance, let's begin the first thing, right? Most of the time, people might be interested to have a drag and drop option. Like, for instance, if you use the Lucid chart, right? Lucid chart can be a pretty good place where you can do a lot of things, right? Like, for instance, you can drag and drop a box component and you can drag and drop a line component. You can build a lot of things with the Lucid chart, right? And that's one option if you're a company which you're working for, or if you're a business you're involved, or if you're a business owner, right? If you're looking to build a process map, you can consider using Lucidchart. I've been using Lucidchart for years, and I'm pretty impressed with the Lucidchart functionality. That's one thing, right? But if you say, hey, I don't want to spend money, right? I don't really care. You can use open software. There's a software. Let me show you. Open Draw or something. I've forgotten the name of it. I've used it. Free um, dot software. I don't know something it's called. Yeah, the draw.io. Sorry. Yeah, this is a pretty good um, software. Which let's say I'll show you for instance, right? Okay, okay. I don't want it to authorize. Sorry. I will decide later. Right. For instance, right? You got a lot of components here. You can drag and drop the stuff here and say customer um, log the ticket. I'm just giving you a dummy, right? I'm not saying this is exactly the process. Log, no, log the ticket, right? And then let's say what happens next, right? You can drag it here, and you can also say, okay, you can put another process here. Rep um, picks up the ticket, right? And yeah, something like that you can do, right? And you can also it gives you suggestions, right? If you wanted to do that, you can do this, and if you wanted to do more stuff, right, you can do that. Or and you can also you can search for shapes here. What else? You can choose the flowchart. Um, you can use entity relationship, more shapes. There are a lot of options here, right? And to be honest with you, right, if you're looking for a free option, right, this will do the job pretty well, right? And what I really recommend is that if you have never used a process mapping software, start with something simple, right? You don't have to make super complicated, right? You can say you can probably draw with apps.diagrams.net, right? And you can start building it. And then once you build it, you can take a screenshot, or there's an option to export it. You can say export as, you can export as a PDF, or you can export as a PNG. Let's say you're using a Confluent page to talk about your process. You can pretty much draw the diagram using this, and you can copy paste the PNG, or you can import draw diagram, embed the draw.io on Confluent page as well. You do a lot of things you can do, right? So this is one of the options, right? If you're looking for a tool. Now, like I said, right, choice of process mapping tool. is not only driven by one factor. There are a lot of factors involved. The expertise in the team, who is going to build that process map, and and the cost involved, right? Obviously, some companies don't want to spend a lot of money, right? So they might be after an open source. So this is one thing you can consider. And if Lucidchart is pretty cool, right? I've used Lucidchart, so I would really recommend Lucidchart if you can, afford, if you can, spend money. But if you're not, then this is one tool. There are many other softwares out there as well, right? But based on what I've used, I can suggest, right? And then a couple of companies, what they do, they prefer in-house. So another thing you need to worry about is that the process, when you're building a process map, right? Make sure you actually covers the important stuff, right? Not just the nitty gritty overview stuff, right? Because that defeats the whole process. The reason why I'm saying this, when you're building a process map, you just want to make sure that it can be shared across different stakeholders in the business. And when they look at it, they should make a sense out of it, right? Depending upon, say for instance, if your CEO is looking at it, CEO will might be interested in overview information. If a support rep is looking at it, they might be looking at, in-depth information like what happens when a customer calls, or what happened when a customer logs a ticket. It should be picked up by a support rep. And do you have a priority on the ticket? If the priority, say for instance, is average, should it wait for 2 days or should be addressed straight away? There are a lot of things you need to mention that as a part of process map. Um, and also, and for instance, one more thing I just wanted to mention, you may not want everyone to modify your process map, right? So you might want a software in place which gives only read-only access to someone, right? So you pretty much don't give um, edit action edit action to someone. So you need to factor those into consideration as well, right? And like I said, the stakeholders often have different opinions about the stuff you can use, right? So that being said, it's always good to get a common ground so that everyone can agree to one step. Otherwise, what will happen? One guy will say, "Hey, I have this opinion." One person will say, "Hey, another opinion." Another person will say, "Hey, a different opinion." Then, it's gonna get into a spaghetti of mess, right? Which exactly we don't want it to do that. So, the best way to address this, right, is to have a common concern, and then have perhaps two layers of approval chain, who can look at it, approves it, and goes to the next person, look at it, approves it, done deal, right? So the process has been approved by two people, and so we are good to go. And obviously, if you have a problem in the process, if you experience a kind of a customer dissatisfaction based on that process, there's always an opportunity to come back and tidy that up. That's the reason why I spoke about different language of process mapping, right? You can use IPOG, you can use the value base, right? Or you can also use UPN. That's a simple language to start with. So I hope this is pretty simple and reasonable for you guys to understand, and I believe that the whole point of this certification, right, is just to make sure that you guys learn the stuff to be used in your project, so that you guys can use this information in your project, not just from a Salesforce perspective. Tomorrow you might move to a different tech, but the concept is similar, right? Process map is used everywhere. It doesn't matter you're in IT, it doesn't matter you're in manufacturing industry or in a car or automobile industry or in a gun manufacturing company. They still use the process maps, right? It just depends. There's certain aspects might be different, but the sense is the same, right? So that being said, I hope you guys are having an amazing Tuesday. Adios.